Jyare Davis against Ben Middlebrooks. Bill Covington tosses it up. Paul McNeil controls. Away we go. NC State in the road red here in central New York. We check out the starters for Kevin Keatts. A second straight start, like we said, for Paul McNeil. Dontrez, Styles, and Jaden Taylor average double figures. And Styles has been hot recently, coming off 22 and 10 in that win against Wake Forest, where NC State was at its best offensively. McNeil's long two didn't go, and Eddie Lampkin the rebound for Syracuse. And we check out the starting five for the Orange, led by Starling at 18.5 points per game, the fourth leading scorer in the ACC. Jaquan Carlos bounces for Jyare Davis, the fifth-year senior, the Delaware transfer, with a size advantage on Styles. Now Starling on the drive. Couldn't get it to go, but stick back off the offensive glass for Davis.
That's where the game's going to be won tonight. It's going to be one in the paint, going to be one on the glass. Syracuse has that size advantage. They have not been a great rebounding team on the year, so to nail an off, especially on the offensive glass, Mike. So to get one of those early off that Starling miss is big.
Huge focus coming into the year for Red Autry. Improve the rebounding. Going to be paramount tonight. Middlebrooks missed it against Lampkin, who's got another rebound. And the Orange pushes with Jaquan Carlos, the Hofstra transfer for two in transition.
I like it. A little something early. Get ahead of that NC State defense. The ability to push for a Syracuse offense that, again, can struggle at times in the half court.
McNeil, no. He's missed his first couple. He was 48th in our ESPN 100. The true freshman, Starling, who loves to go with the right hand from the left side. He missed that one. NC State back the other way. Jaden Taylor through some contact, no whistle.
Fouled twice.
Nothing called for Jaden Taylor. Syracuse back with it, up by 4 in the first 2 minutes. There's Lucas Taylor from Raleigh. He missed the jumper. Michael O'Connell says he got a piece of it. The Pack back with it. O'Connell coming off a career-high 13 assists Saturday, and he does get fouled, and will go to the line. Red Autry, year 2 after the 47 years, of course, of Jim Boeheim. What do you make of where Syracuse is? We chatted with Red a little while ago.
Well, first of all, there's no better human being. I mean, Red Autry is as good as it gets as a man in the profession. Look, I think injuries hurt them early. J.J. Starling being out early. Now Donnie Freeman not being there. I mean, that's high-end talent that has not been in this lineup consistently. And I think both these coaches are dealing with guys they got in the portal, up transfers coming from mid-major programs who the adjustment has not been easy for. And I think for Red, Jyare Davis has not given them nearly the point production I think they were hoping for. Jaquan Carlos, Lucas Taylor. I think the adjustment to this level has been more difficult for those guys than maybe they thought.
We're going to get into that throughout the night. The portal and the future for both these programs, in particular with Syracuse. And that's kind of the buzz around college basketball circles right now is, what are you doing in the portal? And what's your front office, so to speak, look like? So Syracuse with it, up by 3. First 3 minutes here at the Dome. Carlos at the controls, the cerebral point guard for Davis. Dribble handoff for Taylor. Shadowed by McNeil. And now Starling. Around the Lampkin screen. Starling, corner kick. Davis knocks it down. And a good start for the Orange.
He averaged 17 points a game and 7 rebounds at Delaware last year. Hasn't been that kind of a scorer, but there's a versatility to his game. We've seen him post up early in this game, and there he hits a face-up 3.
Middlebrooks goes spinning on Lampkin, and Ben Middlebrooks has the first NC State bucket. 6'10" senior in his second year with the Pack after transferring from Clemson.
He's not a back-to-the-basket guy. They don't throw it into him a lot, but 2 post-ups to go right at Eddie Lampkin early in this game. Force Lampkin to have to defend.
Middlebrooks comes out on Lampkin. Big key for Middlebrooks, staying out of foul trouble as he bangs with the big-bodied fifth-year senior Eddie Lampkin. Underneath, just burrowing his way to the cup.
And that's what he does the best when he catches it in that mid-post, is that extended dribble. I mean, he'll take 150 dribbles, and if you don't come in double, if you don't come with a second defender, he's just going to use that 265-pound frame to bury you.
Styles a miss. It's not totally dissimilar from DJ Burns in that regard.
100%.
Carlos around a couple of screens. Lampkin going to work on Middlebrooks. Lampkin still with it, just pounding that basketball. Good hands from O'Connell. Carlos took it back. 5 to shoot. Carlos off the hezzy, found Lampkin, and it's blocked by Dontrez Styles, the help defender.
What a reaction by Styles.
O'Connell, floater wouldn't go. So got the stop from Styles, couldn't pay it off at the other end for NC State, and the lid on the basket for him so far.
Well, and a quick shot, and NC State plays fast, you know, but I think if in that particular, if there's not a layup, not an attack of the rim, a mid-range floater for Michael O'Connell, you can work for a better one.
An NC State team coming off 85 points Saturday, their most against a league opponent this year, and then Starling in the mid-range.
And that's where he's at his best. You know, that open side pick and roll from the wing, him going middle, pulling up at that foul line. Very efficient from there.
Most productive season of his 3-year career, second at Syracuse. And focus number 1, Kevin Keats was telling us this morning at shoot-around, as you would expect for NC State defensively. Shot clock below 10. Middlebrooks on a face-up this time on Lampkin. Missed that. Davis clears it. Starling so fast end-to-end. Great lob, great catch. Lampkin for 2 and a timeout, NC State. Excellent start for Syracuse at home. The lead is 10 the first 5+ minutes. Eddie Lampkin's been a double-double machine. He's got 4 points and 5 rebounds already.
Well, just look at his size. I mean, he's going to be a monster when he gets it around the rim, and he's very good with that extended dribble. And look at him run the floor. A part of it is Ben Middlebrooks is picking daisies. I'm not exactly sure why he's not sprinting back to fight Eddie Lampkin, because that's one of the things, Mike. You've got to fight his catches, fight his deep position, and then make him work in that extended dribble. But you see the production. I mean, he's really tough, especially on the interior.
flip side of things for NC State, feels like the offense was running through Ben Middlebrooks.
Yeah, I don't understand. You know, three shots from Middlebrooks early, 2 of them post-ups against 6'11", 265. Part of the reason they haven't, they've come away empty on a few of these possessions.
Kevin Keats goes into the bench here. Dennis Parker, Marcus Hill, and Brandon Huntley Hatfield on the floor. But we get a foul away from the ball on Dennis Parker Jr. for Kevin Keats' team. Look, that reaction says it all. It's been that kind of season for the Pack at 4-12 following up last year's run to the Final Four.
Well, you never know who you can count on this year. I mean, that's one of the reasons he goes deep into his bench, because you're kind of trying to throw things at the wall and see what sticks. Who's going to make a shot? Who's going to play well?
He has said there's not a lot of separation on players 3 through 10 in our rotation. Davis couldn't muscle it in past the high effort Dennis Parker, and the Pack runs. O'Connell directing, pass first point guard. Told he had those 13 assists Saturday, a career high. He was raving to us at shoot around about how well they shared it as a team. Good pass out of the post from Huntley Hatfield, and backed out to the leading scorer, Marcus Hill. A second game in a row coming off the bench for NC State. Mid-range, back iron, and a battle on the boards, and an offensive rebound to Hill. Backing down, and Huntley Hatfield cleans it up.
Naheem McLeod comes over to block that shot, and then just a wide open basket for the follow-up.
And then Brandon Huntley Hatfield reaches around and commits his first foul.
And it's a silly foul. For a thin NC State front line, I mean, that was one of the things Kevin Keats was talking to us about. Inconsistency. So Brandon Huntley Hatfield has not played well, the transfer coming over from Louisville. And then staying out of foul trouble, especially, you know, against this front line for Syracuse. Just a silly reach in, trying to deny Naheem McLeod at the elbow.
Kevin Keats told us he was very concerned, obviously, like we said, with J.J. Starling, but then the physicality at the 4 and 5 positions for Syracuse compared to the Pack. 7'4" is some physicality from Naheem McLeod with the bucket, and the lead is 10 again for Syracuse.
Nice pass, nice job rolling to the front of the rim and keeping the ball high by McLeod.
Here's Jaden Taylor, gave it up for Parker. Sticks a 3, and he's not known for his shooting, but Dennis Parker steps up with only his 8th triple of the season.
They all believe, these guys who come in off the bench all believe that they should be scoring. NC State coming off their best game shooting the basketball, made 13 threes in that win against Wake the other day.
The most in the league game in more than 2 years. Nice no look from Carlos, and McLeod the hammer. Here's Trey Parker, one of those guys who likes to get shots up off the bench. It is going to fly from Parker, spun it out. McLeod clears it. So 9-point Syracuse margin, 8 of 13 shooting from the floor, and nary a turnover for the Orange just yet. Good skip, and here's Bell. Pick up where he left off, especially in the first half. Was so good last week in the loss against Pitt. Taylor got tied up. Good hands from Peter Majstorovic, and a held ball will give it back to Syracuse.
Naheem McLeod having it set up on a silver platter. It's a nice weapon to have when you got 7'4" right at the front of the rim. He dangles. Yeah, he dangles. There he is again,
3 good halves together coming here.
Well, we know the hot streak they got on last year. Now it's about getting it. It's amazing, shows you where we are in expansion of these conferences, that we have to show a graphic of chances to get into the conference tournament.
Yeah.
Used to be a given.
Yes.
No longer.
Out of all 18 teams that we have the option to see there. Imagine that. 9-point lead for Syracuse, and a kick on the feed from Carlos.
These bigs rolling down the middle of the paint have been wide open for Syracuse. It's one of the reasons that they are dominating the paint and scoring there so far.
Is that breakdowns in ball screen defense?
I think it's in part. I think they're staying with the ball too long, and I think the help side is not coming over.
There's Bell, gives it up to the freshman from Serbia, Majstorovic, and now Carlos. Off another screen. Huntley Hatfield got back to Majstorovic. Shot clock winding down. Carlos with 5 to shoot. Between the legs. Step back, tough shot. And it goes for Jaquan Carlos.
It's nice to have a guy, especially with Starling not in the game, a guy end of clock to go make his own shot, create his own shot.
It's an 11-point Orange lead with only 2 points from J.J. Starling. Parker wanted another, and the rebound to Kyle Cuff, who pushes for Syracuse. Attacking in transition.
Can't happen. NC State's defense has been not good to start this game. In the half court and then there, you had 3 guys back. Nobody stopped the basketball all the way to the rim, 1-on-3 by Kyle Cuff.
Trey Parker for Dennis Parker. And now Taylor. A little separation from Bell, but the follow-away not there. Offensive rebound run down by Dennis Parker. Driving on McLeod with the reverse.
Parker can get it going. I mean, again, these guys come off their bench believing they should score. 6'6", I mean, he's got really good positional size.
McLeod missed the bunny. Dennis Parker with 5 on an average of 2.8 per game, and only played 5 minutes off the bench Saturday against Wake. Here's Hill, the lefty. Got it.
It's a good thing he hits those shots, and he does. I mean, he wants to play in the mid-range, but that's a long 2 off the dribble early in the shot clock. It's not usually how you draw it up.
It's a lot of jump shots for this NC State team from 2-point range. Bell on the baseline drive. Taylor digging at it. Bell rises and connects. He's such an important piece, and Red Autry was telling us pregame, they feel like they found something with him coming off the bench in the last month or so.
He has been better. He's shooting the ball better, and it's good to see him there. He can get one-dimensional.
McLeod the block on Huntley Hatfield. The Orange pushes. And Bell might have got away with a push-off there. Cuff, no nice on the reverse. NC State in transition. The hezzy from Hill. McLeod has made a huge impact on both ends. Cuff all alone. Got fouled by Trey Parker.
Well, it's a good foul. Kyle Cuff cherry picking, and you made the point. Naheem McLeod has done a really nice job since he's come into this game.
Barely has to jump.
Yeah, just got to stick those hands up in the air when you're that size. And then the cherry picking Kyle Cuff. It's a good foul. You at least make him earn 2 from the foul line.
And so Cuff to the line, 78% this year. Hey, college basketball Sonic Blockbuster. Saturday on ABC, Janai Broome and #1 Auburn in Lexington to take on #17 Kentucky at Rupp. Tigers lead Florida and Alabama by 2 games. The coverage starts at 1 Eastern in the SEC.
Kevin Keats comes back with hockey subs. You know well, Mike.
You got 2 hockey references in. Dangles.
Is that a hockey reference?
It is, yeah, like a guy dangles.
Oh, will you stop? You sound like PK Subban. Hockey's reinventing the world. You don't own dangles.
Come on, 4 Nations was a huge hit. Everyone knows that. You got Syracuse Crunch fans listening all over.
Just ask PK.
It's a takeaway for Cuse. And here's Bell off the shot fake. Bell attacks and finishes with a foul. That's more variety in Chris Bell's game as well.
Well, he put it on the floor on the shot before. There's the steals. Cuse has got some stuff on the break here in this first half, and then teams are going to fly at Chris Bell because of how he shoots it. Shows you he can put it on the floor. You know, he has not had a good year. He has shot it better of late, shooting 44% from 3 in conference. But, you know, part of the inconsistency with Syracuse, you got to stop J.J. Starling. What are you going to do with Eddie Lampkin? And then you have to take away Chris Bell's threes. And so when you're that high on a scouting report, Mike, teams are going to fly at you. And I think Chris Bell is finding life a little bit more difficult when there's that priority on his 3 than he did last year.
He's got 5 of the 28 for Syracuse. Long one didn't fall for Breon Pass, the senior backup guard. But another second look at it for the Wolfpack. O'Connell comes to get it. Fifth-year senior to the corner. Styles, way too strong. The weak side rebound for Chris Bell. NC State is just 1 of 7 from three-point range so far in this first half. Majstovich not on the same page with Chris Bell. And it's a Syracuse turnover, the first one tonight. 28-12 is the Cuse lead here at the Dome. And only the second one since 1970. So how does Syracuse close out this regular season? And then what could they do in the conference tournament? Dontrez Styles way off from deep, but another offensive rebound. And Breon Pass got fouled by Chris Bell.
You know, at some point, NC State's going to have to put their head down and drive the basketball. They have been so three-point heavy against the defense that is a hard time defending their paint, and they have no rim protection, especially with Naheem McLeod not on the floor.
That's 1 of 8 from long range for NC State. 8 of the 22 shots from deep. Pass with a runner. Breon Pass, the senior guard.
Syracuse has not defended their paint well this year. I think you got to start putting your head down if you're NC State and start testing that.
You said it, they did it. And you mentioned how this game might be won at the rim and in the paint one way or another. Starling backs it out with 10 to shoot. Starling and Lampkin only combined for 6, yet the 14-point lead for the Orange. Starling drives, kicks it out, shot clock rounded down. Bell's got to get it out. Short, and the rebound hauled in by Pass. Here's O'Connell, hiding behind the screen of Middlebrooks. Out high for Paul McNeil. Pass, lets it fly. Wide left, Styles soared for the rebound, but he traveled as he lost his footing.
It's a good call. It was a hell of a rebound. Yeah, he has been a bright spot, Dontrez Styles. You know, he's finally come into his own. 6'6", 210 pounds. And has had some really good moments this year. It was really good in that Wake win the other day, and that was a heck of a rebound. Unfortunate you lose your balance.
Kevin Keats said Styles was completely locked in, focused on Saturday. That's why he had the 22 and 10 and 4 triples, like we said. Lampkin, bang it again with Middlebrooks. Lampkin got fouled, and it's rolled out.
And Eddie Lampkin really wants to go over that left shoulder. Like, I think if you're Middlebrooks, you have got to get on that and force him back to the baseline. But NC State not bringing that double. They kind of went over a few different variations at the shoot-around this morning. They wanted to double from the baseline, but if you never get him going back that way, like we said, Eddie Lampkin's going to take 150 dribbles to get to his spot.
Second foul on Middlebrooks, so he'll exit. I want to go back to what you just said and what you saw at shoot-around today for NC State. So when do you think the double's going to come, and from where?
Yeah, Middlebrooks has to get higher, and that double's going to come from Dontrez Styles. Not that deep.
Send it from the low side on the baseline.
Absolutely. When Eddie Lampkin is out a little bit higher than the paint in that mid post, then Middlebrooks got to shade his left shoulder, force him baseline, then you can run that double and rotate behind it.
Well, it was a split at the line for Lampkin. The lead 15 for Syracuse. Remember, led by 16 in the first half last week against Pitt. Chris Bell commits his second foul. It'll put Breon Pass at the line. Yeah, that was a big part of the conversation we had with Kevin Keats this morning, when the double was going to come, because he was so concerned with that physicality from the likes of Eddie Lampkin, just pounding away at that basketball like you pointed out.
You know, the other thing for Kevin Keats with this start, when you are a team that has not won a lot, there's a maturity it takes to win a game and then go on the road. And this is an NC State team that has not played well on the road this year, to go on the road and follow that up, to validate that Wake win with a win here tonight. it takes maturity, and NC State has not shown that, at least in their start in this half.
Now, those 2 wins they picked up recently, both home wins. It's a team that has dropped 11 of 12, had a 9-game losing streak, the longest of Kevin Keats' tenure. And trying to get the first road win of the season here in Central New York. Starling, Bell, Davis, Lampkin, and Taylor. Lampkin draws another foul. NC State wanted a travel on Eddie Lampkin, didn't get it.
You know, they've really gone heavy to Eddie Lampkin, especially with Donnie Freeman no longer in the lineup. You know, there you overextend. Brandon Huntley Hatfield's got to play better. I mean, enough is enough, man. I mean, that was just lazy Olay defense. You're not going to steal that ball, and then you put your teammates behind you in a bad spot.
Senior in his 5th game back from a shoulder injury. Forced him to miss 5 games total over a couple of different stints. Didn't go on their California road trip. Kevin Keats said to him, look, you tell me when the shoulder's ready. And Brandon Huntley Hatfield now back in, but the minutes down since returning. And Eddie Lampkin is good on both, and he's had his way here in the first half with 7 points and 5 rebounds. Paul McNeil and Breon pass. Initiate for NC State. Pass navigating. O'Connell backs it out, looking for somewhere to go. It's the ball screen from Huntley Hatfield. O'Connell back out for Styles. Styles can't connect. And Dontrez Styles is 0 for 3 from long range. Starling and O-look. Taylor moved it. Starling. Some good ball movement. A run down and offensive rebound. Carlos directing. Lampkin wanted it. And Davis is saying, let's go back to the big fella. Matched up with Styles. Big size advantage. Squeaked one through. Taylor couldn't pay it off. Who steps up for NC State to get the offense going here late first half? McNeil. A turnover. Carlos, the kick. Starling rises. Can't bury it. McNeil the rebound. Huntley Hatfield directs. Approaching 4 minutes to play until halftime. O'Connell. Catch and shoot for Michael O'Connell, his first bucket.
I'd love to see him get a little bit more aggressive. I mean, he's a table setter. He wants to be that pass-first guy. He's coming off some of these ball screens in the paint. I think he's got a shot. Michael O'Connell's got to, I think he's got to be aggressive to score a little bit here.
His second year with NC State after 3 at Stanford. Carlos couldn't connect with Lampkin, and the door cracked open here for NC State. Pass. And hit from deep, and NC State just looking for that shot to fall.
Again, I think you got to drive that. I think you're open sometimes for a reason. I think if you're NC State, you've got to continue to press the issue and force Syracuse to have to guard you in the paint.
Starling for Lampkin. Right down the lane, just banging with Huntley Hatfield. He bodied him.
He is bullying this front line, especially Brandon Huntley Hatfield in this first half. Just absolute bullying.
9 points, 8 rebounds for Eddie Lampkin in 11 minutes. Pass, driving, and what do you know? Draws a foul.
Eddie Lampkin. I love Lamp. Rick, are you just naming things in the room and saying you love them? I love Lamp. I love Lamp. I love Lamp.
I knew it was coming. Like your setup, I knew it was coming.
Yes, sir.
That was well played. Where my run? So Syracuse, in its last game last week, they had a 16-point first half lead. They're up by 14 here on NC State with 2:52 to go until halftime. And your guy straight out of Anchorman, Eddie Lampkin's having his way. 9 points, 8 rebounds. He's been such a fun guy to watch throughout his entire college career. And we asked Red Autry about that pregame. And he put it like this. That guy, no matter what you see, you know is always going to be with you in the pressure moments, in the foxhole, as he put it. That's the type of guy, he said, that you know what you're going to get from him every day.
Yeah. He's had an interesting career in college. You know, TCU was on a very good Colorado team last year, a very good offensive Colorado team. And he ends up here at Syracuse. And when he embraces who he is, we got here pregame and he was out going around the world shooting threes. I started to wonder what the game plan was. But he's got a great personality, and it's he's finally, I think, come into his own.
Kevin Keats told us this morning, he said, I'm going to tell Eddie Lampkin pregame, please shoot shots from the perimeter, because I hope he does that, and I hope he's not bullying our guys down on the block. He joked with us that he was going to tell Eddie Lampkin that's what the scouts wanted to see. That has not been the case here in the first half. He's been on the interior, as you would expect. Here's Kyle Cuff. The lead at a dozen. Cuff attacks. Missed it. And O'Connell rips it down for NC State. Here's Bryce Hurd, the freshman who reclassified. He spins one out, and it's 2 of 12 from three-point range for the Pack.
And when you bring a lot of guys off your bench, those guys come in and they want to get their shot off. And so again, this idea of wanting to drive the basketball, we've been three-point heavy. Those guys on the bench don't realize that.
There's a triple for Syracuse, and it's Lucas Taylor. First points for Taylor, and the second 3 for Syracuse, and the lead's back to 15.
7 different guys have scored for Syracuse in this first half.
There's O'Connell. And now Hill summoned the ball screen. Around it, he's Cuff shadowing him. Hill with a follow-away that he gets to go. 3 straight games in single digits for Marcus Hill, their leading scorer, and we told you a second straight game off the bench. You asked Kevin Keats how Hill has handled that, and Kevin Keats said outwardly he's responded well to it. Maybe he can inject the offense for the Wolfpack. Davis went down to the deck, but he was out of bounds, and good energy defensively from Bryce Hurd.
And it was a well-timed double. You got Davis to spin baseline, you brought that double from the baseline, and you forced a turnover.
So 1:15 to go in this first half here at the JMA Dome. 2 teams right in the thick of it trying to make the league tournament at the bottom of the ACC. It's a foul on Lucas Taylor, who was trying to run with Jaden Taylor. So 16 fouls aside with 1:06 to go until halftime. That's blank, comma, man. We'll leave out what the 8 letters were.
Red is displeased.
And that's 2 on Taylor. So O'Connell, Huntley, Hatfield, Taylor, Hill, and Hurd, the 5 on the floor for Kevin Keats. O'Connell, same spot, missed it this time, and Cuff one-armed the rebound for the Orange.
Syracuse is really gapped up in the half court. I mean, they are forcing that kick, and it's one of the reasons NC State's taken a lot of threes.
Taylor blocked it. Davis kept it alive. Lucas Taylor on the drive for 2.
And NC State's had a hard time keeping the ball in front. They have not guarded the ball very well in this first half.
3.5 seconds separate the game and the shot clock here at the end of the first half. High middle ball screen from Huntley Hatfield. O'Connell, some of that aggressiveness you wanted from Michael O'Connell, and he sticks the jump shot. Syracuse has got to go, and then they take a timeout. They're use it or lose it with 6.5 to go. We'll take it as well. We're back in 30. Don't go anywhere. What have you liked most about this first half for Syracuse?
I'd like the balance. And we mentioned 7 different guys putting points on the board for them tonight, and they're up 13 with J.J. Starling, 105 and only 2 points. They've ridden Eddie Lampkin at times. These other guys, and they're, defensively, they have executed their game plan. Again, it has been a team that hasn't defended the paint well.
Waning seconds, Kyle Koff, and it roll off, and that'll do it for the first half here in Central New York. For the Pack to begin the second half. O'Connell with post entry for Ben Middlebrooks. Going to work on Lampkin, and a foul. Chance at 3 for Ben Middlebrooks, and a good start for NC State, 18 seconds out of halftime.
Well, they start the second half like they wanted to start the game. They went to Middlebrooks 3 straight times to open this game on a post-up. He came away empty, but they start the second half going right at Eddie Lampkin. And how about that, over the right shoulder with his left hand.
4 combined points from Middlebrooks and Huntley Hatfield in the first half. And Kevin Keats said to us this morning, we've just been inconsistent at the 5. But maybe Middlebrooks can give him a lift here in the second half with the Pack hovering down by 11. Starling comes to get it. You said quiet first half, but that didn't slow Syracuse. Starling with a good look, and Davis follows it up.
This game can only be won by NC State if they start getting some stops together. And you stop that first shot by Starling, but you can't gather the defensive board.
Middlebrooks had it roll off, and Starling pushes for Syracuse in transition. Davis, who's got 7 points, gets back from Taylor. And here's Lampkin. Face up. Physical play as these two continue to bang, and Middlebrooks reached around. Fouls on the floor. Yeah, and that's the third.
On that play, I mean, they're sumo wrestling down there. What is Ben Middlebrooks supposed to do here? You're supposed to call the first foul. Like, there's 2 dislodgements, and then Middlebrooks ends up grabbing him. But you're supposed to call the first foul. Not sure what Ben Middlebrooks is supposed to do.
And a guy who's dealt with foul trouble all season, saddled with those 3. And now this one goes on Dontrez Styles. That's his second for NC State. I mean, it's a collision every time. It's Lampkin against Middlebrooks, either end of the floor, really.
And you kind of have to, Kevin Keats was telling Middlebrooks that this morning, you're going to have to take it right in your chest. But at some point, that dislodgement has, it puts the defense at a real disadvantage.
And this is not really on Ben Middlebrooks, at least with the third, but it is the way it's gone for him this year. Something Kevin Keats continues to talk about with Middlebrooks in the front court, that in terms of foul rate per 40 minutes, he's at the top of the ACC heap.
Well, there's a bouncer nature to Ben Middlebrooks' game. Like, there's an unrefined nature to it at times. And look, he was a role player last year that's been thrust into that starting role this season.
McNeil, that roll off shows some frustration. Syracuse back with it. Taylor now playing at his 3rd school. Lampkin off the short roll, no. And Middlebrooks a strong rebound. 4 points, 4 boards for Ben Middlebrooks. O'Connell. Looked like he wanted to pass while he was in the air, but he shot it. And Syracuse back with it. Red Entre used the word deliberate with us pregame about how the pace has gone recently with their offense. Slow it down here and initiate in the half court. Carlos dribbled again with it. They said it was deflected, and McNeil runs for NC State. Jaden Taylor always plays hard for the Pack. McNeil knifing through. Tough finish, Paul McNeil.
He's going to stay aggressive now. He is talented, and he's going to be a really good player. And I think it was a great move by Kevin Keats, putting him in the starting lineup and getting him some reps there down the balance of this season.
Told us he found out 10 minutes before the game on Saturday that he was going to start. Assistant coach Brett Nelson came over and told him, and he told us, it was amazing. I just made the most of my opportunity. Davis out to that basketball, and he's got a chance at 3. These 2 guys keep ball pumps like air pumps in business.
Talk about giving the ball a headache, but that's what they do. If you're not coming, they are going to use their bulk to bully you. And that's the matchup, that Davis-Styles matchup, where Davis has got about 15 pounds on Dontrez Styles.
He's now got 3, like Middlebrooks. And so it's going to be Styles who exits here. And Kevin Keats will go with the 2 bigs together, Ben Middlebrooks and Brandon Huntley-Hatfield together, first 3 minutes of the second half.
Think about the guys that NC State rode offensively last season. DJ Burns, obviously, and DJ Horn. I mean, those 2 guys, you can ride them.
Late whistle, and a foul is called on Syracuse.
I think this year, part of the struggle for Kevin Keats is who are you going to go to? You just don't know. I mean, one game, Paul McNeil comes out, gives you 24. You know, Marcus Hill can be that guy at times. It's just been no consistency for Kevin Keats to go to on the offensive end like he had last year.
He's come out and said it. He said, no disrespect to any of our players, but we don't have a superstar on this team. He says we don't have the guy who can go get you 18 a game. And I think an interesting question for NC State as a program going forward, what do you prioritize in the portal? Is it the high-end stars? You put your chips in the basket of a couple of really top-end players, or do you spread the money around and try to add guys and see who you hit on? Because it is a gamble in this day and age going after anyone in the portal.
I think you go after high end, and if it's 1 or 2 guys, in the game of basketball, there's only 5 out on the floor at one time. Like if you have LeBron or Steph, I'm using those as examples, that one guy can affect the game. 2 guys can absolutely affect the game.
Like Kevin Keats has said, they haven't had that star power this year. Middlebrooks on the baseline with a jumper, and he's got a half dozen and 4 since halftime. 44-31, the Syracuse lead. Show from Huntley-Hatfield. Starling, quick change of direction. Good hands from McNeil, and then a closeout. Taylor uses Starling. With O'Connell on him, here's the switch. Starling on the drive, got bumped. Shoot 2. Hey, our ESPN Thursday primetime women's basketball doubleheader starts at 7 Eastern with the Tobacco Road rivalry game with number 8 North Carolina, number 16 Duke at Cameron Indoor. And then South Carolina, ranked 6th in the country, is in Oxford to square off with Ole Miss. J.J. Starling good on the first. Junior from nearby Baldwinsville, just 20 minutes northwest of here. And Starling's good on both. So the lead 15, first 4 minutes out of halftime. Taylor runs off the screen. Got to specify which Taylor. You got a lot of Taylors out there. Jaden Taylor with the entry for Huntley-Hatfield. Left shoulder, no. Kept alive by Middlebrooks, bringing great energy here in the second half. Middlebrooks on the face-up. Couple of jab steps, spinning. A double comes, and a held ball will give it to Syracuse.
Really nice play by Lucas Taylor.
Steps in and earns possession for the Orange. Feeling good. Cuse up by 15 at home.
I'd like to thank, our staff, John Walhack, Tori, and them for being forward thinking to get the general manager as soon as we did, because you need to be able to do that in this landscape of, transfer portal, all these things. And I think your staffs have to grow, and we are. And so, I know we're headed in the right direction, and, we'll be fine, But, I think Alex will do a great job. He's doing a great job. And we'll continue. We're building this thing, and we're building it to be strong and to get back to what we all know this thing used to be and what we want it to be. I like to thank, our staff, John Walhack, Tori, and them for being forward thinking to getting a general manager as soon as we did, because you need to be able to do that in this landscape of, transfer portal, all these things. And I think your staffs have to grow, and we are. And so, I know we're headed in the right direction, and, we'll be fine, But, I think Alex will do a great job. He's doing a great job. And we'll continue. We're building this thing, and we're building it to be strong and to get back to what we all know this thing used to be and what we want it to be.
That was Adrian Autry 3 weeks ago talking about Alex Klein, hired this summer to be the general manager. Came from the New York Knicks, where he was a scout. He's doing his best to hide from us right now. There he is. But general managers have been in the news this week, with North Carolina hiring one, high profile. And that's one of the big questions around here, is kind of the future now of this program. Good recruiting class coming in, obviously. But with that position, what does Syracuse look like, this being year 2 for Adrian Autry?
Well, I think the fact that Syracuse and North Carolina, two of the biggest brands in college basketball, tells you a lot that they're going this route. And it also tells you a lot that it took them this long to go to this route. Because I think these are two programs that were so used to their brand carrying the day. I mean, John Shire did it immediately when he got to Duke, but again, the fact that Duke has to have one. Yeah. Brand doesn't matter anymore. This is so transactional that it really, and it's sad to say, it comes down to dollar figures. And you can't miss, Mike. I think hitting in the portal right now is so much more important than hitting guys out of high school, unless you're getting Cooper flagged. You cannot miss in the portal, and part of that is, we talked about it with both these teams, where you've got mid-major guys coming out of the portal to your programs where they just were not ready for this level.
Big question for all these programs, but especially here at Syracuse going forward. By the way, Ben Middlebrooks with 4 fouls is on the bench for NC State, and those long-range shots still not falling for the Wolfpack. I think that's why maybe there's some Syracuse fans who say, look, it's never been quicker to flip a program immediately in 1 year, and that's maybe some of the angst and consternation for them. And to your point, you just got to hit in the portal.
You've got to hit in the portal. And you have to have money to pay those guys. And I think, coaches are coming around on that. You and I have both met Kevin Young, who's the coach at BYU, who had no college experience, came right out of the NBA, spent all of his coaching time in the NBA. So he's used to personnel management. He's looking at this landscape in college athletics saying, well, yeah, this is what the high-end talent should be. They should be compensated. And he's ready to hit the ground running. I think for a lot of coaches in college who have spent their life in college, it has taken a while to come around to this new environment. And I think you're starting to see, especially these big-time brands, saying, look, our brand, or playing in the JMA Wireless Dome or the Dean Dome, that's not carrying the day anymore.
And coaches will come out and say that to you as well. I just had Kansas, Colorado a couple nights ago, and those coaches are talking about the same thing. The same things that resonate with high school players just doesn't anymore. Kevin Keats has talked about that. We went to a Final Four. Okay, that hasn't changed who they can get. It's about the money.
Grab it.
That one rolls off for Marcus Hill, but an offensive rebound for Huntley Hatfield. Ish Doof is into the game, and he draws a blocking foul on Jyare Davis. Duke getting some run here with Ben Middlebrooks with his 4. And now Jyare Davis has picked up 3 for Syracuse. 6 minutes gone by in the second half. He's had a good day so far, 13 and 6. Huntley Hatfield on the face-up on Lampkin.
There you go.
What'd you like?
It was decisive. It was aggressive. It was athletic. It was taking the fight to the defense.
Dribble handoff for J.J. Starling. Uses the Lampkin screen. Huntley Hatfield showed. Starling kicks on the baseline. It's Carlos.
Just no protection at the basket. Straight line drive from that left left corner and no protection.
The lead's 17 for Syracuse, one off what was the largest ACC lead at any point this year. Off the Trey Parker miss. Bell got to the cup. Biggest lead in conference play this year for Syracuse, and it's 19 in the second half. Trey Parker back for Doof. First-year player from Quebec. That was kept alive to Huntley Hatfield. And he backs it out for Marcus Hill. NC State trying to hang around. No. Lampkin trying to establish early post position against Doof. Davis. And it's last touch by Lampkin, pleading his case to Justin Porterfield, but that's not an argument Eddie Lampkin's going to win.
Shows you playing with a motor, though. You know, not giving up on the play. He may have an argument.
I think it would stand up in a court of law.
I think it would, too.
Exhibit A, Your Honor. All right, so Trey Parker, Doof, Styles, Hill, and Breon Pass, the 5 for Kevin Keats. Sifting through those lineup combinations. He's got both bigs in, he's got both bigs out right now. Trey Parker connects from long range in his first points. Guy who'd been quiet the last 3 games, but put together some big stretches against Duke and out in California. Lampkin has the size advantage on Doof. And we get a foul call. Eddie Lampkin's drawn his share of fouls tonight.
Well, that's where if you put 2 hands on him, they're going to call that a foul on the defense. It's the one where Ben Middlebrooks is taking it in the chest. I'm not quite sure what the defense is supposed to do.
This guy is a load. 6'11", 265. Describes himself as a great communicator. He has said he feels like he's one of the best talkers in the country. He doesn't mean trash talking, just the way he communicates for his team. Doof. Spin cycle. And finish. Only 5 buckets since halftime for NC State. Down by 16. Starling will direct for the orange. Around the corner. And great finish.
You know, we asked Kevin Keats today, what has been the most consistent part? Like, what can you rely on game after game with your team? He said, look, our scoring and offense will go up and down, but our defense has been solid. It has not been good tonight. Syracuse shooting 53%, and each drives, I mean, there's been no help. Doof, not enough.
Schumacher comes into the game, and so does one of the best freshmen in the country, Diana Taurasi.
One of the top stories in sports. We say congratulations and goodbye to Diana Taurasi announcing her retirement from basketball after a simply incredible career. Three-time national champion. Look at a young Gino Auriemma at UConn. The all-time leading scorer, three-time champ in the WNBA as well. And on the international stage, a six-time Olympic gold medalist. And oh yeah, she was here her freshman year.
Kelly Schumacher comes into the game, and so does one of the best freshmen in the country, Diana Taurasi.
Manley Fieldhouse as a freshman, Diana Taurasi with UConn.
Diana Taurasi is the greatest women's player of all time. You know, she is that bridge, Mike, between the formative years of women's basketball, the formative players, the Nancy Lieberman, Cheryl Miller, Lisa Leslie, Rebecca Lobo, to the modern game, to what we know now. You know, the Sabrina Ionescu's, the Caitlin Clark's, Angel Reese. Like, Diana Taurasi to me is that bridge. She modernized the game. You know, when I first saw her, like, you would watch her play in her early years at UConn, you'd be like, man, that's different. The way she would handle the ball, the way she shot it, the way her swag. She's the great, I mean, obviously the winning and the numbers all tell its own story, but just her impact. You cannot write the history of women's basketball without Diana Taurasi. What a career.
Well said. So cool to see the outpouring of celebration just over these last couple of days. Syracuse just turned it over, wanted a foul. And Dontrez Styles rises up, and he's got back-to-back buckets, and this time a chance at three.
And his foul trouble's taken him in and out of the game, and he hasn't shot it well up until this point. But, you know, again, he has been productive for them. He's their leading rebounder on the season, giving them about 10 points a game. He has shot it well of late, 7 threes combined in the last 2.
Began his career, of course, in North Carolina, then Georgetown, and now NC State, who will extend the pressure down by 13. And a pick. Great read by Trey Parker. Can't knock it down. And a rebound secured by Kyle Cuff. Syracuse with numbers. Starling on the gas. Bell dropped it off. Lampkin draws a foul.
Sort of a microcosm of the night for NC State. You get a bucket. Bad turnover led to that shot. Would have liked to have seen him attack the basket, and then a 3-on-1 in the other direction.
This is an NC State team offensively for the season that has shot 32% from three. They've taken 17 threes in this game of their 49 shots from the floor. They've only knocked down 3 triples.
Well, again, sometimes you're open because the defense wants you to be. And I think the priority for Syracuse tonight was they were going to be gapped up, limit access to that paint. And when that's the case, those kickouts are there, and NC State became a volume 3-point shooting team.
Eddie Lampkin just piled up another double-double. You look at the Syracuse annals in terms of records with double-doubles, and Lampkin keeps climbing. Last 8 games coming in, averaging 12.5 points and 12 rebounds. Styles again. He's starting to cook. It's an 11-point game with 10 to play. Starling in trouble, turned it over.
Somebody's got to come back to the ball, come to the middle of the floor. I mean, it caught off guard by this press. And if you're NC State, you've got to convert off of these turnovers. This has to be your moment here.
And Red Autry is sensing that, so he'll take a timeout. We'll step aside. We're back in 30 seconds. NC State on the move. Last time it was single digits, 9:41 to go in the first half. We've got 9:42 to go in the second half, NC State trying to get back within single digits.
Yeah, and 2 turnovers against the pressure. Kyle Cuff not coming to the ball. You know, and sometimes a team will slap a press on like this, and it'll catch you off guard, on your heels, and that's kind of what NC State has done. It'd be nice. They didn't convert off of the last turnover. It'd be nice to convert out of the timeout here. And Syracuse comes out in a 2-3 zone.
For the first time all game, they've used it 7% of the time this season. Used it a little more than that last week against Pitt. Hill got a good look, he missed it. Parker to the loose ball. Trey Parker attacks. And Hill recovered, scored, and it's down to 9. NC State's got the juice right now. Davis got it into Carlos. Davis breaks the pressure. Bell couldn't hit it. Lampkin the offensive rebound. Davis cut. And Davis underneath, muscles it in for an answer.
Just can't secure a defensive rebound on the first shot. You get that corner 3, a quick possession forced by the pressure. Can't come up with a defensive board.
15 for Jyare Davis. Styles, can he stay hot? Yes, he can! It's down to 8.
The made shot allows you to set up this press.
Styles has 11 all of a sudden for NC State. Syracuse breaks the pressure to Lampkin. Going to work on Huntley. Just bullied him! Eddie Lampkin's got that look in his eye. Breon pass. Shot fake. Styles. He's red hot and backs it out for NC State. Keeps it in his hands. Styles back iron. Kept alive by Hill. Pass. Battles with Starling who ran it down. NC State has seized some momentum. Syracuse trying to fend off the Wolfpack. 7.5 to go in the second half. Lampkin, feeling confident, going to work. Passed out of a double. Starling is met there by Hill. Starling connects.
And that's who J.J. Starling's been. Nice double to stop Eddie Lampkin's momentum when he caught it on the block. End of clock, late clock, there's J.J. Starling creating a bucket.
He had missed, sorry, Chris, 9 straight threes before that one fell for Starling. Styles moved it. Hill, too strong. And Starling will slow things down for Syracuse. Just took some big punches from the Wolfpack as Syracuse stabilized.
Go back to Lampkin. Throw it in there and let that create offense.
He had his hands on his hips, set the screen. Starling tried to drop it off, but Hill was active. Hill pushes for Styles. Pass. Came up short.
I mean, 2 straight possessions, 2 threes from guys who should not be taking them. Dan, you play a lot of guys, they all want their shots. You're going to take a lot of bad ones.
Breon pass 0 for 4 from long range. NC State as a team, 5 for 22. Carlos was shut off. And now Starling. Late shot clock, you said it. He's been the guy for Syracuse all year. Starling spinning and scoring.
Doesn't even need a ball screen. Just go one-on-one, get to your spot, and rise up.
A disposition that just oozes confidence right now for the Orange. Hill off the bounce on Carlos, good hands. And he got called for a foul. Red Autry is steaming. Syracuse has stabilized thanks to J.J. Starling.
He's carried that load all year, right, Mike? There he is, late clock, banging a 3 down, and then he goes work. One-on-one. Marcus Hill over the top. He's wet.
Big game for both these teams toward the bottom of the ACC. This is the bottom 9 of 18 in the ACC standings. And again, that cut line, if you're not familiar with the league this year, bottom 3 missed the ACC tournament. NC State down by 15, 5:32 to go, in a real troublesome spot here. They're going to finish at Georgia Tech, Pitt, and at Miami. So that's what lies ahead for NC State in a season that hangs in the balance. Meantime, we told you J.J. Starling has stepped up and solidified things the last few possessions. He's got 11.
Had only 2 at the half, was 1 of 5 from the field. I think his injury at the beginning of the year, I thought slowed his growth a little bit this year. You know, could have hit the ground running a little bit more. And he's not playing, you know, to play alongside a Judah Mintz or to have a Malik Brown, who was so good on that short roll. So out of the pick and roll, you can hit that guy. Just doesn't have quite the firepower he had last year around him, so he's had to carry a real heavy load.
Again, Donnie Freeman has been out since right after the new year with that foot injury, that surgery. For a second straight game, no Elijah Moore, the freshman guard, who's out with a foot/toe injury. Red Autry told us pregame. They're hopeful that they'll have him back on Saturday. He averages 16 minutes per game for the Orange. Lead is 13. 5+ minutes to go. Starling hangs and will shoot 2. Where do you think J.J. Starling's game goes from here?
Well, it's hard to play in that league, that NBA right now, when you can't shoot. And so that's the biggest thing for him is figuring out how to become a little bit more consistent from that 3. Because when teams can go under ball screens, when teams can play off of you, it becomes hard to get minutes at that level. And I think J.J. Starling needs to buy into being more of a defensive dog. He's got the size, the positional size to do it. He's certainly athletic enough. I think committing on that end, because when he gets to the league, he's most likely right now going to be a backup guard. He's not, the best players are the ones who have the ball in their hands. So how do you make your impact? For a guy like that, it's being a dog defensively.
Junior season here for Starling. 5 minutes to go. Go time for NC State. Styles rolls in a 3. His 3rd triple. He's got 14. All 14 in the second half for Dontrez Styles. Jake Taylor nearly got his hands in there. Peter Majstorovic.
Cuse has done a much better job after those 2 turnovers, the timeout by Red Autry, executing against that pressure.
Starling initiates. Middlebrooks blitzed them. Lampkin muscles in 2 more.
And that's the reason that Kevin Keats didn't want to blitz the ball screen from the beginning tonight with Starling in it, because he's so good finding options out of it, especially that big rolling.
Styles, no. They said that to us this morning. We want to avoid sending 2 to the ball if we can, when 2 and White's got the ball in his hands. Inside of 4 minutes to play at the Dome. Syracuse trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Carlos. Starling. Ooh, got that. Jaden Taylor committed the foul, late shot clock. And J.J. Starling trying to power Syracuse to the finish line. (67-54) the Syracuse lead inside of 4 minutes to go, and another double-double for Eddie Lampkin. Meantime, Dontrez Styles is trying to will NC State back into it here inside of 4 minutes remaining.
But that balance from Syracuse. 8 different guys you're getting scoring from.
And pay points, like you had pointed out right off the top, where this game is going to be won on the play on both ends. inside the paint and at the rim. J.J. Starling to the line. Hey, NBA Friday on ESPN. Big doubleheader. Top teams in the East square off at 7:30 Eastern with Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs. They're in Boston to square off with Jason Tatum and the Celtics. Then out west, the next battle of Los Angeles. James Harden and the Clippers, LeBron and the Lakers. NBA Countdown tips off for coverage at 7 Eastern.
My man Nico Harrison took his heat last night now.
What a picture. What a picture that's sweeping the interwebs.
I mean, it was a tough move by him. I do wonder if he regrets it, though, because he is getting daggers, man.
All over the place.
All over.
Starling 1 of 3 at the line after Jaden Taylor had fouled him on that quarter triple. Breon pass. Shot just hasn't been there for him today, despite some looks. And 3.5 to go for Syracuse. Trying to put the finishing touches on this one. Got back home after they had the weekend off. Brett Autry just kept repeating to us, fighting, fighting, fighting. First words out of his mouth when we chatted with him before tip-off. Starling skipped it. And Carlos. Shot clock winding down, and that's a double dribble on Jaquan Carlos.
NC State has attempted 24 threes tonight. Syracuse only 8. I mean, the emphasis clearly for Cuse was to get downhill and do its work inside. And NC State just couldn't beg off, you know, and we talked about it early in the first half.
NC State wanted to do some of this to start both halves, and then Middlebrooks has been in second half foul trouble. So that wasn't an option for Kevin Keats. The best offense for him since halftime has been Dontrez Styles heating up with his jump shot. But too little, too late for the Wolfpack. J.J. Starling and Syracuse trying to close it out. Right hand, left side of the hoop.
You called it. You called it, brother. Right on it.
I've never seen it, but it works for him. He just doesn't want that left hand on the left side. Breon pass for Styles, and now McNeil. Styles cans another. Dontrez Styles with his 4th three. He's got 17 since halftime.
He has shot it well, Mike. That's now 11 threes in their last 3 games for Dontrez Styles.
Again, he started his career in North Carolina. Was there for 2 years after he was a top 70 recruit in the country. Kevin Keats said out of high school, Dontrez Styles was more athlete than he was skill. But then he's added skill over the last few years. Those 13 a game last year at Georgetown, and has been one of the primary pieces for NC State this season.
Remember Dontrez Styles, when he was a freshman at Carolina, they had that big comeback the year they ended up going to the national championship game, that big comeback against Baylor. He hit the first 3 in overtime. And the first basket in overtime is always a big bucket. Like it's a very important, you know, points to put on the board, and he hit that 3. Carolina was off and running to secure that comeback, and then obviously ended up making the national title game.
This NC State team, including Styles, was in Chapel Hill last week. Real tough first half for NC State. Styles said afterward, he said they got embarrassed against Carolina. He was going up against some of his old friends, including Seth Trimble, who had a stare down of Styles at one point. Starling through the wickets, working on pass, and he scored it.
And there's that right hand. It's a heck of a move right there.
J.J. Starling is feeling himself down the stretch. So is Styles working on Carlos. Too strong. Inside of 90 seconds to go here at the Dome. Next up for Syracuse, they're at Virginia Tech on Saturday. Tuesday, they're at SMU. Very good SMU team under Andy Enfield here on ESPNU. And then they'll finish back at home here at the Dome against Virginia. A reminder is coming up at Wake Forest about 7 minutes from now. Starling no. Pass in transition. Got caught in the air. Now lets it fly. Pass short. Rebound secured by Lampkin. He's got a rip in his jersey. He's done it all tonight. Crowd here liked this effort from Syracuse. Gonna snap a 3-game losing streak. They had dropped 4 of 5 and 7 of 9, but came out ready to go tonight after the week layoff.
It's not just a rip in Lampkin. That's like an entire Mortal Kombat tried to pull the heart out from the chest.
Someone took a bite out of that thing. It was like us. We were ravenous pregame. So J.J. Starling leads the way with 17. Jyare Davis had 15 and 7. And Eddie Lampkin, a double-double machine with 14 and 15 for Syracuse. Back in the win column. 74-60 the final. Syracuse is 6-11 in the league, and that'll help